What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3. Before we start this video, hey, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Appreciate you tuning in. It hurts when it's Philly, man. It just does. It hurts when it's Philly. Cowboys take a beating today, 41-7. Let's talk about it right now.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Wait, take
Cowboys. Throws back of the end zone. There's
What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3. Cowboys fall today, 41-7, man, to the Eagles. Rough loss. Congratulations to Saquon Barkley on this season. 2,000 yards rushing is a phenomenal feat. He's going for the record next week, probably. I'm not so sure I would do it. I would want to keep him healthy for the playoffs. Just the risk of something happening just to go after a record. That is probably not a fantastic idea. But, he's been pretty much healthy all season, and that offensive line is pretty tremendous. They're a really good football team. As much as I hate to say it, they're a really good football team. Sorry about the episodes last week. I missed two. Bunch of family in town, man, trying to host family parties for the holidays, and then did a bunch of traveling yesterday. I didn't get back home till about 2 a.m, man. I was tired. So came home, went to sleep, got this prepared for today. In my pregame or my keys to victory and everything like that I normally do on Saturdays, I really thought that Dallas had an opportunity in this game, strictly because Jalen Hurts would be out, and they didn't perform well against Washington with Kenny Pickett. Had a rough outing. I thought that the Cowboys could stick to the formula that they've been using for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Even without CeeDee Lamb being in the lineup. I understand sitting CeeDee Lamb. He got 1,000 yards. Probably gets a bonus for getting 1,000 yards for the season. Team decided to set him down because of the AC joint separation that has constantly been bothering him. And when the injury first happened when they played Atlanta, everybody said that it was just pain tolerance. How much can you take? You can tell every game something happens to that shoulder. He was wincing in pain, and you got a $30 million receiver, $34 million receiver. You might as well send him down for the season, man, and get him ready for next year. Not really fighting for any playoffs, you're not playing, no playoff implications for this season whatsoever. But I thought that the Cowboys could run the ball today. Philly has been semi-susceptible against the one. They have the number 1 overall defense in the NFL. And rightfully so. It's a really good defense. Those defensive linemen that they have, especially the Georgia boys, they're finally starting to hit their stride and play good football. And hats off to them. Got a really good team. Today, Eagles go for 376 total yards, 197 yards passing, 179 yards rushing. Philly is the only team in the NFL, if you look at their passing and rushing stats throughout the whole season, they've rushed for more yards than they've passed for. They are truly a run-first football team, and they feed off play-action passes, and they did a tremendous job of it today, especially against Andrew Booth, and we'll talk about that in a second. Rushing yards, Philly goes for 179, 6.2 yards a play, 20 first downs, 6 of 13 third down efficiency, 1 for 1 on fourth down efficiency, 61 total plays. Punted the ball 3 times, had 4 penalties for 25 yards. Cowboys come in with 268 total yards, 141 yards passing, 127 yards rushing, 4 yards per play. 16 first down, 6 of 14 third down efficiency. Never went for a fourth down, had a total of 60 plays. Only allowed 1 sack today. Then you get to the player stats. And I think this is what kind of tells the tale of the entire football game. What's going on, man? How you doing? Don, I hope you're having a good Sunday, man. That was a rough one. That was a rough one to watch today. Hopefully it goes better than that game went. Cooper rushed 15 of 28, 147 yards. Threw a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not a great game for Cooper Rush. And I've been watching, I'm not a social media person, but I am, if that makes sense. I like to go I'm in a lot of Cowboy blogs, vlogs, whatever you want to call them. And people have been going in talking about, Cooper Rush is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott and this and that. And I went on the guy's podcast and he said some stuff earlier today, and we kind of went in this back and forth, and I'll talk about that later on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do an entire show on Wednesday about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and why fans dislike Dak Prescott. There's some fans like this that dislike Dak Prescott. For reasons I don't really know why, but I have an idea. I do, and it was a rough one. It was a rough one, Don. It was a really rough one. I have an idea why they don't like him, but I don't really think it's validated. Look, it's you know what? We'll just talk about it on Wednesday. I got a whole thing planned for it. We'll talk about it Wednesday. Anyway, back to the game today. Rico Dowdle, 23 carries for 104 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. Again, Kevontae Turpin, 2 carries for 18 yards. Brandon Cooks has 4 catches for 52 yards. Jalen Tolbert had a pretty decent game, 3 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson had a costly fumble. Turnovers were a big key in today's game. 3 catches for 18 yards. Everybody else had a catch. Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks, Mingo had a catch. Rico Dowdle had a catch. Ryan Florida had a catch. Hunter Lemke had a catch for a yard. Saw Trey Lance sighting right there at the end of the fourth quarter. Had a catch had a pass completion for a yard. I really think that he should have came in at the end of right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. There was an opportunity for him to come into the football game. Game was already out of reach. Put him in the football game. Let him do what he does. They decided to stick with Cooper Rush. And whatever. It's been kind of like that the whole season. Malik Hooker leads all tackles with 9. Eric Kendricks also has 9 tackles. Deron Bland has 6 tackles. And Andrew Booth has 6 tackles. Probably should have had about 15 tackles, but I know that the Cowboys are kind of, not even kind of. They're injury riddled. They're probably down to their last 3 or 4 corners. Even from the practice squad. Andrew Booth comes in and just gets picked on. You could tell that the Eagles' game plan was anytime we are going to throw the football, we're going to throw at Andrew Booth. And rightfully so. He's not a very good corner at all. Matter of fact, he's pretty bad. Devontae Smith just kind of had his way today, and then they kind of switched A.J. Brown over there on him just to kind of get a mismatch. Anybody that seemed like he was on him, he made one good play over there on the sideline. He kind of defended a pass out of bounds on the 3rd and goal and ended up saving them, and they ended up, Eagles ended up kicking the field goal. But, just a bad football game for Andrew Booth. He's had a lot of those. He had some terrible games way back in the preseason. Kind of got him, we didn't even kind of get him. It got him put on the practice squad. And then, today, just a terrible performance. And you could tell that the Eagles were going to keen in on him. I thought the Cowboys defense played pretty decent for about a quarter and a half until the offense couldn't do anything. And it's kind of the same old story. Cowboys offense came out and they didn't stick to the game plan. Rico Dowdle, I think at the beginning of the game, at one point in the game, they had him listed down as like 8 carries for 48 yards, 49 yards. That's what, 3.5, 4 yards a carry, something like that, man. Like, you just give him the ball. Like, I don't understand. Cooper Rush is not the guy that you just gonna put the ball in his hands and let him beat the Philadelphia Eagles. You tried that the last time you played him, and it didn't work. And that was with CeeDee Lamb. What makes you think it's gonna work? And you don't even have CeeDee Lamb today. Like, the game got out of hand because the Cowboy offense couldn't sustain any drives. Defense got tired, and it got out of hand. The scoring started for the Eagles with a pick 6. Charlie Garner-Johnson, again, Mr. Lucky, right place at the right time. That dude has lived his whole career in the right place at the right time. Gets an interception for Cooper Rush, ends up scoring on a pick 6. Today, for the Eagles, Kenny Pickett, 10 of 15 for 148 yards and a touchdown. Had a pretty decent game. Kind of got rocked by Michael Parsons. Ended up coming out. Tanner McKee comes in, 3 or 4, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown threw his damn ball in the crowd. Some fan got an A.J. Brown jersey out of it, though. Just one of those games today. Saquon Barkley, at one point in this game, he had 12 rushes for 26 yards. He was averaging about 2 yards a carry. Defense had kind of shut that down. He ends the game with 31 carries for 167 yards and 5.4 yards carry. Didn't make the end zone, but still 5.4 yards a carry. Closed out a 2,000-yard season with 2,003 yards and has an opportunity to go for Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record next week. Just knowing how the Eagles play and knowing their mentality, they're going to go for it just because they feel that strongly about Saquon Barkley and they feel that strongly about their running game. They're a very good running football team. Very good running football team. With that being said, Devontae Smith, 6 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown only had 3 catches for 36 yards. DaRon Bland did a really good job on him today. I thought he did a fantastic job on A.J. Brown today. It's just one of those games where it was too many snaps, too many opportunities. You start feeding Saquon Barkley more and more. Play action pass to A.J. Brown. DaRon Bland gets beat for a touchdown. One of those games. So the Cowboys' problem is they have players that don't know how to play. Well, Isaiah, we're down now to the end of the season where it's so many players that can play on injured reserve. Yeah, you got rookies in here and you got players that wouldn't normally play. But the thing about it is that these guys are fighting for roster spots. These guys are fighting. If it's not a roster spot with the Cowboys, it's a roster spot somewhere. They're fighting for jobs. And like Andrew Booth, with the performance that he had today and the performance that he's had in the past, he'll be lucky to play semi-pro ball next year. He will be. They're terrible. They are. And you got Trayvon Diggs. He's gone. You got who else in the secondary? Kalen Carson is gone. Butler's gone. Yeah, you're down to Andrew Booth. I'm telling you, man, semi-pro football is going to be lucky for him next year. There's a lot of semi-pro teams, 37U teams. They're not going to sign Andrew Booth. They not. He can't cover. He cannot cover. He showed you that today. Devontae Smith just literally just had his way, just did whatever he wanted to do with him. And that's after Saquon Barkley would carry the ball 31 times. Trayvon Diggs. So Trayvon Diggs, and I did an episode about this about a week ago. Trayvon Diggs tore that ACL last season about mid-season in practice. Matter of fact, I think it was the 5th game of the season he tore his ACL. When he tore his ACL, there was a lot of talk with inside the Dallas Cowboy organization that said that he did not take his rehab seriously. He kind of went and did his own thing. Came back this season, they said he was about at 70%. Where when you get injured that early in the season, you come back. You know what I mean? You should be at 90%. They'll probably hold you out of training camp, and just for those purposes, just to hold you out of training camp, kind of try to keep the contact to a minimum, and then you should be at 100% by the time the season starts. I don't think Trayvon Diggs was ever at 100%, ever. And then that knee flared up again, and they said there was some cartilage issues that were causing the knee to flare up, and that it was going to be a 8-month process for him to get healthy. Now, the reason I think it's going to be an 8-month process for him to get healthy is because they're going to go out there, they're going to clean up that knee. We've shown you now that you didn't take your rehab responsibility the right way, and you are now forced to do your rehab responsibilities the right way. And it's going to take you 8 months to get back into the shape that you need to be a top 3 corner in the NFL. That's my personal opinion. Well, yeah, they fighting because they frustrated. Well, yeah, Isaiah, respect is earned, not given. I agree with that. But however, these young guys that are playing football for the Dallas Cowboys right now, you got to earn your respect. You have to fight for money instead of fighting to get each other better. I don't really know what you mean by that, but I would be fighting for my job. I don't know. The only way you're going to get money is if you have a job. That's the only way. And right now, players like Andrew Booth will not have a job next season. They won't. And I'm just being honest. They won't have a job next season. You have your opportunity on the big stage to go out there and play against top receivers in the NFL and do things that, show people that you can do things inside the white lines that will get me a job. Like I said, it may not even be for the Cowboys. It may be on another roster somewhere else. And right now, there is no team in the NFL, probably not even a team in the CFL that would sign him right now. Just being honest. Dismal performance. Especially on the offensive side. Cooper Rush looked terrible. Like, for the life of me, and I don't understand. And I put this in the title. Excuse me, not in the title, in the comments about the video. Does this kind of loss kind of tarnish the chances of Mike McCarthy coming back next season? I think that the person that the Cowboys really wanted to be the head coach next season is the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels right now. And with that being said, I'm not sure that there will be some top coaches in the NFL right now, whether they're coordinators, head coaches, assistant head coaches, whatever they may be right now. I don't think they have any interest in coming into this dumpster fire that we have here, especially if it comes down to February, March timeframe when free agency gets going and you don't do anything. Nobody's coming here. You don't do anything again. Nobody's coming here. Why would you? I'm not coming here to fail. I don't want my first head coaching job. If I'm Ben Johnson, I don't want my first head coaching job to be in an organization that is not doing anything to help me be successful. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. And I watched this dude's podcast the other day, man, and he went on this rant about how, and this dude has a pretty popular Cowboy podcast. He does. He has it's very popular, more popular than mine is right now. But we're gonna change that real soon. He said that Micah Parsons was the true leader of the football team. Micah Parsons is not afraid to go out in the media and say things that need to be said. And Dak Prescott basically is a puppet. He can't win in the playoffs. He can't do this. He can't do that. And, if there's any locker room issues or anything, Micah Parsons is the one that speaks up. And I'm like, where did you get all this information from? They do need a drill sergeant. Brian Flores would be perfect. That's why Brian Flores got kicked out of Miami, because he was a drill sergeant. And that's exactly what the Cowboys need. Exactly what they need. They need somebody that's going to hold them accountable. All of them. Every single last one of them. They need it. They need it tremendously bad. And plus, he has a really good defensive scheme. Look at Minnesota right now. Really good defensive scheme. Very good. This team, I find it comical for anybody that can single out a single player in this organization that has had 30 years of consecutive failure. 30 years of it. Said this before. Say it one more time. And we're going to talk a lot about it on Wednesday. Dak Prescott was 1 year old the last time the Cowboys even went to an NFC Championship game. He was one. You've had Tony Romo. You've had Drew Bledsoe. You've had, Quincy Carter. You've had a tremendous amount of Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks, tremendous amount of coaches that have come through here. There's one constant, the reason that they don't have playoff success. And that one constant is your owner. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday. I'd say we'll talk about they need prayers to come and say, I'm not trying to be a star celebrity. I don't care, back and forth win for the city of Dallas. They haven't had a lot of success, Isaiah. They just haven't. They haven't had a lot of success in a long, long time. And there's a lot of things that are going to have to change within the organization before they do. Or you'll keep having whoopings like today. Especially if you don't come. You have glaring concerns on this football team. You have glaring roster holes on this football team that could easily be filled. You have 34 free agents that have the potential to leave next year. 34. There's probably about 5 or 6 players that I would hold. And after the Washington game, we'll go into a dive into free agency and the Cowboy free agency and just look at players that the Cowboys have this year. This is the final year of their contract, how they played this season, how they played in the past, and would you keep them or would you dump them? Would you keep them or would you dump them? There is a potential for the Cowboys just to open up about close to $100 million in salary cap space just off the free agents that they have right now. And you can probably rebuild a roster with $60 million that would be 10 times better than this one. Kansas City does it every single year. Every year they do it. They have a $500 million quarterback on their roster right now. $500 million. And they continuously put a roster around him that makes them competitive to win Super Bowls every single year. Philadelphia Eagles have a $48 million quarterback. No, wait a minute. $58 million quarterback and a $35 million receiver, a $33 million receiver, and another $28 million receiver. Every single year, they put together a roster that is competitive. They go get a damn 2,000-yard rusher in free agency that the Cowboys said that they couldn't afford, but they could have. They go get players like that, and they make their team better. Every single year, they do it. Every year. But this is what you get when you have the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, they have a lot of players that like to talk. I think one of the best players in their organization likes to talk too much. He got a podcast with about 500,000 followers. He does. He got a podcast by 500,000 followers. Now, I will say this. When he came back from his injury, the team got a lot better. A whole lot better. They did. Because he was fresh and he came out to play football. He didn't look that great today. Another big game where you really need him. He didn't look that great. I'm just saying. But that's the leader. According to some, that's the leader of your organization. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he gets re-signed. I think you have to re-sign him just because of the dynamic player that he is. Excuse me. I don't know why English was so hard right then. Just because of the dynamic player that he is, you have to re-sign him because if you don't, he'll just go somewhere else and be dynamic. And you need all the dynamics you can get, especially on the defensive side of football. You need that. You have to have that. Offensively, you need some more dynamics. I love Rico Dowdle as a running back. Congratulations on him getting 1,000 yards. I think he's a phenomenal running back, but they need another one. They have to have another one. They have to have another wide receiver. They have to have it. You may need some offensive line help. You may need it. Oh, jumped on the Kansas City back with Andy Reid. Hey, Isaiah, I am a firm believer in Andy Reid too. I'm a firm believer that that's the reason that Kansas City is so good is because of Andy Reid. It's not really Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. Andy Reid puts Patrick Mahomes in positions to win football games. He does. And then he goes and gets him the type of players that he wants on his offense that will boost the things that Patrick Mahomes does well, particularly intermediate and deep balls. You go get 4-2 fly boys. That's what you do. You go get them. You go get them. When they traded away Tyreek Hill, they went and got speed. And they absolutely did go get speed. And they went and got a damn defense. That defense they have now is rough. Rough. It's particularly up the middle with Big 95. Rough. Rough. But that's how you put together a winning organization. That's how you put together a winning football team. You go get coaches like Andy Reid, right? You go get coaches like Dan Campbell. Hell, Washington doing a lot better with Dan Quinn. You go get coaches like that. Here in Dallas, we have to deal with our owner doesn't want coaches that are going to outshine him. And the next head coach that comes in here and wins a Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying? They're going to outshine him. Who is who? I'm confused. They're gonna that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna outshine him, and he's not gonna allow that to happen. So, just be ready for more mediocre seasons until that happens. And I'm truly hoping, right? And this is just my personal hope. I'm hoping that Jerry sees his flaws this season, and he hears, especially a lot of Cowboy fans, he hears them, right? He hears the talking around the league, and he's beginning to understand that, hey, we need help within this organization. If you want to be the general manager, cool, that's fine. Just sign another person that makes all the football decisions. It doesn't really matter. You make all of the football decisions. He makes all the football decisions. You still bottom line all the checks. You still bottom line all the decisions that are made on the team, right? You're still the bottom line signature. You're still that guy, right? But you bring somebody in that actually knows how to put together a team. I don't think the nucleus of this team is that terrible. I don't think your quarterback is terrible. I think you got a top 2 receiver in the NFL. I think Michael Parsons is a top 2, 3 player in the NFL on defense as well. I truly believe that. So you have a good foundation. You got Tyler Smith on your offensive line. Don't really have a problem with Cooper Beebe, TJ Bass. I don't really have a problem with him. I think Tyler Guyton I think this was a learning season for him. I think he'll be a better football player next year. I don't even think Terrence Steele is that bad anymore. I don't. You need some help at wide receiver. Your tight ends aren't terrible. They're not bad. They're really, I think Jake Ferguson is, a top 15 tight end in the NFL. He's not bad at all. Defensive wise, your linebackers, good young linebackers, I hate the fact that they lost Overshown, but Leofau hadn't been playing horrible. Eric Kendricks came in and did a really good job leading the defense, leading the linebackers. It's just hard to play with defensive tackles in your lap. It's hard to play with defensive tackles in your lap. It is. You need some improvement in the trenches on defense. Trayvon Diggs, hopefully he takes this rehab seriously and he comes back as a top 3 corner again. Hopefully. Deron Bland is really good. Really good. Your safeties are pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Donovan Wilson plays decent one week, and then the next week he just gets roasted. You got to have some consistency back there. You have to. You have to. Isaiah, I don't drop links on mine. You have to be invited from the beginning. If you want to work something out, we can work it out, but you come in from the beginning. In order for them to be successful, they're going to have to change the way that they play, they're going to have to change the way that this whole organization is just the way it's designed. And it starts with the general manager. I don't really have a problem with Mike McCarthy coming back, but just let Mike McCarthy do things the way that he wants to do them. Like, don't have your thumb on top of everything. Sure, he makes some bonehead decisions, but I don't even really think that the head coach, I don't think Mike McCarthy should be calling plays. I think you need a real offensive coordinator to come in here and call football plays. Because Shanahan, this is not the same offense that was in Jacksonville. It is nowhere close to it. This is Mike McCarthy's offense that you see right now. This is it. This is not Shanahan's offense. Excuse me, Schottenheimer's offense, not Shanahan, Schottenheimer. This is not Brian Schottenheimer's offense. This offense is nothing like the one that was in Jacksonville that got Trevor Lawrence paid. And you see, as soon as he left, Trevor Lawrence went right back into being whatever he is now, which is not much. Hasn't been playing very well at all. So there's some opportunities for the Cowboys to improve next season, and it starts in free agency. There are some free agents on this football team that need to go. Why would Dak not be the quarterback, man down? I think that this last little half of the season has shown you, one, why he should be the quarterback, and two, why you need a running game in order to be successful. And Philly is the prime example of that. Jalen Hurts has not had a good season statistically at all this season, but they're pretty damn good. No, we're not in the Shador sweepstakes. Shador and Cam Ward will go 1 and 2, and they'll go to either the Raiders or to the New York Giants, whichever one they decide to pick. I don't even think Shador right now is a lock to be the number one pick. I don't. I think Cam Ward might be a better quarterback than Shador Sanders. He might be. Don't get me wrong. Shador is very good at what he does. Holds the owner to the ball too damn long, but he's really good at what he does, right? But Cam Ward is special. Very special. And I think that the Giants might take Cam Ward, which, in my opinion, is probably a better situation for Shador because I think Vegas is probably a better team than the Giants. So they got running backs, they got receivers, they got a pretty good defense. What they're missing is a quarterback, and I think that he would be pretty successful with the Raiders. I do, personally. Cam got his hands full. He does. If he goes to the Giants, he got his hands full. You got pretty decent receiving core. You don't have running backs. Your offensive line is, decent at best. They look pretty good today, though, against the Colts. They looked pretty good. Kayvon Thibodeau had a great game today. He did. So, there's promise in both places. There's promise. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Next week, you're going to get a hungry Washington team that, if I'm not mistaken today, secured the number 7 spot in the playoffs. They may not even play their starters next week. They may not. So why not play Trey Lance? Why not play him? Why not give him an opportunity? He is your 4th round draft pick this season. Why not give him an opportunity to play? I think that would be a great idea. I do, personally. Think it would be a great idea. You haven't given you really could have put him in at halftime, right after halftime after this game. You could have. But you didn't. So, opportunity for Trey Lance to play next week. Hopefully. We'll see. 4th round draft pick. You paying him $8 million a year to be on the practice squad. Now he's your backup quarterback. Pretty crazy. All right. Once again, Cowboys lose 41-7 to the Eagles. Not a great day for Cowboy Nation at all. Next week, you got Washington, last game of the season. On Wednesday, I will do a show about specifically about Dak Prescott and why he is hated by so many. And I think I know why. I really do, because there's really it's hard for me. It's hard to comprehend the hate that he receives throughout Cowboy fandom. It is. It's hard for me to comprehend it because Tony Romo didn't receive this kind of hate. And Tony Romo received some hate. Don't get me wrong. It was people that were very boisterous about Tony Romo, but not to the level that they are with Dak Prescott. And not just the fans. I'm talking about the media. I'm talking about everybody about Dak Prescott. And I think I know why. I do. And I really don't think that it's deserved. Okay, so you say Dak is shitty. This is why Luka is the goddamn point. Okay, I didn't really get that one. And Deion Sanders' son would be a better quarterback for the Cowboys. Okay, all right, we'll talk about it on Wednesday. I definitely do not agree at all. Deion Sanders' son didn't really have a lot of success at Colorado. What makes you think he will have success for the Cowboys? Tune in on Wednesday. And yeah, belief is a motherfucker. You're right. Yeah, you're wrong, but you're right. Your belief may be a motherfucker. Might be. But yeah, Wednesday, we'll do a whole show about it. And Isaiah, you are more than welcome to come and we'll have fun with it. We definitely will. Okay? All right. Everybody, you guys have a great day. Cowboys lose 41-7. It was rough. On Wednesday, we'll do this whole Dak Prescott thing and we'll have fun with that. And we'll see if we can't make some sense out of it, if you will. Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about with that situation. Because Dak hadn't played since Atlanta, and every other comment on every other social media platform is about Dak Prescott, and it's crazy to me. But we'll talk about it. You say that Jerry believes he can do it his way. I agree with that, 100%. I do agree with that. But what does that have to do with Dak Prescott? Tune in on Wednesday. All right. That's it for me today. Cowboys lose 41-7. Wednesday, we'll do the Dak Prescott thing, and then we'll talk more about this Washington matchup at the end of the season. Don't even know if Washington's really going to play their starters, but hey, I think it's a good opportunity to play, especially your fourth-round draft pick, your quarterback, right, Trey Lance, and, try to end the season on a positive note. Just a little bit of positivity before you go into the offseason. However, it probably will move you down in the draft, which we'll talk about that too. It may not be a bad thing. All right, Cowboy Nation. We'll talk to y'all soon. Still Dallas Cowboys for life. All right, y'all. Peace.